Hello everyone, we all know the cartoon The Fixies. There is one series about chess, which we will now analyze. I want to say right away that it was not professional chess players who played, then you will find out why. Well, let's get started. Throughout the episode, there is a chess game between Grampus and Professor Eugenius. Grampus plays white, Professor Eugenius plays black. Instead of the white b-pawn, there is a real, which will later be replaced by none other than Nalik. Let's take a look at the position itself on the board. White's move. Well, perhaps, purely theoretically, the position is possible, but only in a game not like amateurs, but complete beginners. Both opponents moved knights twice, and white also placed a pawn on f3 for some reason, thereby, firstly, weakening the kingside, and secondly, shamelessly depriving the knight of its favorite square, and now it is sat on the edge of the board. I think, no one will argue that in a game of people who are at least a little familiar with elementary opening principles, such a situation would be impossible. Well, okay, no one ever claimed that these characters have to be strong players. Now, let's move on to the moves. It's white's turn and he plays e4, which is a very good move. White opened the way for the bishop and now he is protecting the knight. Black responds.
And I'll play my pawn.
Actually, it's not entirely clear how black responds, it's only clear that he moved the queen's pawn, but where exactly d6 or d5 is not clear, but let's assume that d5. As we shall see later, this will not affect our analysis. White moves b3, and this is a blunder, since now black can beat the knight on h3, and it turns out that white cannot take the bishop in response. Remember, I said that the move f3 weakens the kingside. Well, now, after wash, the move queen h4 suddenly turns out to be a mate in one move. So, move b3 was a serious blunder, although, of course, given how these two played the opening, it would be quite naive to expect Eugenius to notice this checkmate with the queen. Then the game is interrupted for a short time. Other Fixies needed a real to replace the pawn.
Hey look, I found it! Yeah!
And instead of it, Nalik becomes on the board.
Yeah! I can do it!
All right, you can take it. And you stand right over here.
The game resumes and black. Stop, what is this? Here it is, but how?
And I'll play my pawn.
Therefore, we have not only stupid moves, but also movie bloopers. An excellent start. But, there is no evil without good. Since the d7 pawn did not move, and the queen's bishop is still blocked, the move b3 was not a blunder. Well, let's get back to the game. Black eats the white knight, to which white, of course, took the piece in response with the bishop, but this was not shown to us, since most of the game was left behind the scenes. When the board returned to the screen, the situation on it was as follows. To be honest, this position is difficult to evaluate. The knight on c8 raises many questions, but in theory all this is possible, so there are no complaints about the position itself. As for who wins, white definitely wins. They have two passed pawns on the queen side, their pieces are more active, and last, but not least, black has the e5 pawn hanging. But instead of taking it to the rook with the threat of an exposed check or at least a bishop, they play queen c4. There is little sense in this action, but maybe Grampus was afraid of the move queen h4 check. Eugenius responds with queen c7, offering the exchange of queens, and turning an already bad situation into a completely hopeless one. Firstly, now the move bishop beats e5 is a fork, but even if white had nothing better than a simple exchange, black's suggestion of it was a terrible decision, because by removing the most unpredictable piece from the board, for a beginner, black loses his last chances for at least some counterplay. However, in terms of the plausibility of what is happening, I have no complaints about the creators of this scene. The moves are certainly bad, but completely possible. White takes the queen and, on the one hand, they ignored the fork. On the other hand, I can't even call it an inaccuracy. According to the computer, the move is the strongest. The rook follows the queen. And here again white could take a pawn with a fork, and this time he should have done it. But as you may have guessed, he did not. Instead, rook b e1 followed. Rook b e1. Stop, what? Okay. It's okay, you think, rook e1, okay? What do we have next? Yeah, then Eugenius moves away as a king, and it's not clear where exactly.
You're kidding, do you?
But I guess it's on g8. After that, the solemn procession begins along the Nalik board.
Bullet, forward.
Hooray!
That is, pawns b6. The rook retreats to f7, b7.
Ha! Next I'll go and capture the knight.
You got away.
Oh, it's so sweet. Ahem, knight on s7. And Nalik turns into a queen.
Hooray! Then I'll be the queen, and I'll be the strongest piece in the whole game.
Nalik is delighted, but as Professor Eugenius rightly noted,
In case you don't know, this isn't over yet.
you have to give credit to the scientist. He may not be the best chess player, but even in such a position he does not lose heart. So black. Stop. The king left the field g7. Professor, what are you? While Nalik rejoiced at the transformation into a queen, the king was rearranged under the guise. It doesn't matter. Black attacks the queen with the rook. After that, white may well win the knight, but Grampus, honor and praise be to him, finds the best solution. The queen beats e5, check, the king retreats to f7 and the queen g7, checkmate. Let's summarize. If we close our eyes to a few movie blunders, when the position changed between frames, the game, in terms of the plausibility of moves, turned out to be very realistic, but in terms of the quality of the moves. No, of course, if a character is smart in the story, then this does not make him a good chess player, but let's be honest, that's something, and the opening was completely unacceptable. However, again, in general, it was one of the best demonstrations of chess in a cartoon in my memory. Although yes, a dubious achievement. That's all, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel and share the video with your friends. See you again.